Now we are going to discuss about roles in IAM. So roles is a collection of permission. You cannot grant a permission to the user directly. You grant them as a role. So what it is mean by, so what are the action we are performing in Google Cloud that needs some kind of permission. So whatever, for example, you wants to view list of service account, or you want to view the compute instance. So that needs permission to perform that action. But that permission we cannot directly grant to the principal, so that we need to create it as a role. Then we need to attach that role to the principal. This is all about the explanation of the role in IAM. But anyways, to make it simpler, we can go to the Google documentation. So if you see from the documentation, the permission are determine what operation are allowed on resources in the IAM world, whether permissions are represented in the form of service, resource, web, for example, PubSub subscription concept. So let's say this is the permission format will be the service, resource, and web. Service is nothing but let's take one service in GCP. So if we into the screen, so you can see here compute engine. So the compute engine is a service. So in the compute engine, we do have a multiple resource. If you see here, VM instance, instance template, sole tenant nodes, machine images, TPUs. And if you come to storage, in the storage, you can see there's storage pool, snapshot, and instance group, LCheck. So these many resources are presented. So basically, service means the compute, this is a compute, and resource means inside. So let's say instance, VM instance, let's say instance is that a resource, and verb. Verb is an action, like let's say you wanted to delete the instance. So just mention verb as a delete. So you wanted to create, so you need has to be mentioned create. So for better understanding, so let me go to the documentation. Clearly, I can show you what are the permissions are there in GCP. So if you see on the screens, right? So here I have showed you how to assign compute instance admin role, right? So let's see like what are the permission that role is having. Come, just type it here. So this is the role which we have assigned to the one of my user account, you remember. So basically the roles having these many permission. So if you see a compute accelerator types. So if you come down, so we can able to see instance. So if you see here, compute instance and star. So this means what are the permission comes after the instance, it have all the access. It means like all the permission it contains. So that's what it has mentioned. So this, if you see it at the end of the resource, I mean end of the permission, so you can see here get list, list effective tags, list bindings. So if you see here compute is a service, HTTP L check it is a resource, in that verb list tag bindings. So if we take one more example, so this permission is also include to view the network data services in GCP. So compute as a service, network is a resource, and get is a verb. So or list. So this is how that permission will be there, and we can't assign this permission directly to the principal. So that we need to bundle all this permission into a single role. So that permission it can be assigned to that. So this is a documentation where it give you the understanding of what is the role and what it actually. So if you see that role, what it can do, full control of the compute engine instance, instance group, disk, snapshot, images, and read access to all compute engine network resource. If you can grant this user role only at the, I mean, user only at the instance, then the user cannot create a new instance. So it means like you can least grant that role at the instance level. If you grant it, that user will not able to create new instance, but they can able to modify or delete the existing instance. And this is also one of the page where you can get what are the permission which is presented in the particular role. So if you want, you can just type what role is required in the search bar, and it will give you all the list of permission. So this is all about roles and permission. But in GCP, we do have a three different types of roles. One is basic role, and second one is predefined role, and third one is custom roles. So basic role, which is only three roles are presented. So one is the owner role, editor role, and viewer role. So these three, in this three, owners are editor having the so many permissions when it comes to GCP. Why? Because most of the permission will covered in the owner, and less, when compared to the owner, editor have the less amount of permission, but it is also having the broad range of permission. Yeah. So I'll show you in the Google Cloud Console what is the permission. So if you see, if you go log into the IAM console in the IAM tab, in that IAM tab, so you need to grant access to one of the resource. So let's say like I'm just giving a one service account here, and I want to assign the role. We do have a basic role here. So in this basic role, we do have editor, owner, and viewer. And if you see, it is giving some details about what is the owner role. So it means owner access to the full access to the most Google Cloud resources. See the list of include permission. So it means like it is the highest permission in GCP owner permission. It have full access to the most of the cloud services, but there are some resources that needs different kind of access, but different kind of permission, but it is not covered in owner. So that one we are not going to discover in this video. That one we can discuss in some other video. So in the owner role, how many permission do you think it is contained? So for that, we need to know about it. Either you can go to the Google documentation and just see the owner permission here. So go to the owner role. If you click on it, it gives you all the details here. So we need to select the product. So we do already have that owner role here. So we don't want to go do anything. So if you see here, total having a 10,166 permission it contains, and in that 1017 permissions, excessive permission which is granted. So basically, what is meaning like we do have a it having a permission like 10,000 plus permissions are there, but from that this many permission is not even used by this account. That's what it is clearly defined. So if you want to know about what kind of permission it have, so you click on that owner role and it give you all the list of permissions presented. So here you can get to see that how many permission this account has been utilized for the last, I guess, 90 days. I'm not sure, but I need to check on it. And excessive permission. So these many excessive permission that rules are. So it gives you some insight about what permission has been from that role, how many permission has been used, and how many permission. And also it will provide you the recommendation instead of this permission, what exact permission that user can need it in order to perform it. So the recommendation is very helpful, but I guess like as per the current uh current cloud environment, GCP environment, I think that's need a security command center licensing in order to view all the insights. So this is what about owner role. And if you want know about editor role, see your editor role is having a 8,000 plus permission it has, and this service account not even utilize single permission from it. So to view all the permission which editor role is having, so the same way you can click on it and you can view all the permission it has. The editor role basically have that permission which is broad range, but when compared to the owner, it having less privilege. As the best practice, we should not provide owner and editor to any user or any principal in order to perform activity in GCP at any project as a best practice. So mainly we need to provide at the prod project because it is not a recommended as per the Google document. So if this access is really needed, we need to understand why other access is not fulfill those requirement. Then we need to understand why it is actually required. Then only we need to assign those roles. But we could see that from experience, I can say that owner editor, it's not required. Most of the predefined rules are there that can cover all these scenarios. So that's what we are going to discuss about our next So I hope like in the basic role we have covered owner and editor, and viewer role it having a only read only access to most of the cloud resource. You can use to view all the resource like in for audit as per the audit. So you want to know about how many instances running, what is the configuration is presented there. So what are the details you needed from that configuration? You can just go and capture those details by using the viewer role. That's all about the viewer role. And next we can go ahead with the predefined roles. Predefined roles are predefined by the system and comes with a set of permission tailored by for specific task or service. So the predefined role is nothing but Google's already defined a set of roles are there as per the use case or as per the service requirement. So let's say like if there is a service like computer admin, like earlier we discussed, instead of owner editor because it granting a more permission, but the user only going to manage instance. So why we need to create a predefined role only for the particular service? So that service will able to perform all the action which they needed to perform for a particular task. So they were like 1867 result as per the video is recorded, and so many permission I get roles it will get added. I guess if you see if you want to know about any service, just type the service name compute. So if you type compute instance, so this is the role which is presented here. So compute instance. It is the role is specific to the resource. And if you want to role specific to the services also, it is already having the compute admin. So if you give compute admin, so if you see this role is full grant of compute engine resource, the user will be managing virtual machines that are configured to run a service account. You must not be granted the role. So the document is also given like with this role, what are the roles should not be granted also. So you can refer this document and lowest level resource where the role can be granted. So these are the resource like the roles can be granted at the lowest level, but in the highest level, you can grant this role at the organization is top-notch hierarchy. So then coming slide, we are going to discuss what is the resource hierarchy in Google Cloud, all these things. I hope you get better. So if you see here, the compute, it is ending with system. So what are the permission? It is comes after the compute service, right? What are the resource coming? This permission will contain all the permission. So that's what the best practice. The compute admin role, it should not be provided to other use. I mean, any other user. Why? Because it is having a high privilege and it can modify existing networking also. So as per my understanding, you should not provide this access unless it's really required for it. And you can see this is how that predefined roles has been created, and these roles are purely managed by Google Cloud. And what are the service it is getting added or removed. So based on that, the permission will be getting added by Google. So we need to manage all these things. So there were so many predefined roles are there. So you can just go through it and see like what roles are there in it. And if you have any doubts on that, just comment over that so we can discuss on that. And last one is custom roles. There is a custom role Google giving flexibility for the organization. They can create a custom role because we already aware of it. The permission you can't directly assign to the user. But if you see in some scenarios like basic roles will give a broad range of permission, a predefined role also giving us some broad range of permission in some scenarios. But that organization can have that flexibility to create a role with what are the permission required and group together that role, and they can assign that role to the any principal. So let me show you in the Google Cloud Console where you can see that rules and how you can create it. So in the IAM tab, if you scroll down, there will be a section called role. In that role, if you click on it, so you can see so many roles are there, right? And I don't have access because I have a temporary account. So I'm going to use my admin account here. So let me close this and we can click on the roles here. So if you see here, I do have a list of roles here actually. Okay. So title, access approval. So if you want create a role from this, you can do it, or otherwise you're going to create a new role. So and you can click on the create role. From the create role, you can provide a what is a suitable name for it and add permission. In that add permission, you can provide what service, because most of the people is not aware like what are the permissions we needed. They're not in handy, right? So like you need to type that what is the service and the resource you're looking like. So I'm looking at the instance wanted to list it. So from this, you click on it and just they will have so many permissions are there. You can just get that. Okay, in this permission, I don't want this many permission to the user. I just only want to compute address list, compute instance list, and scalar list. So from that, what are the things you required for them in order to view that information? You can create that and then add. So once you add, three permission is added, right? By like this, you can add so many permission as you want, and also you can refer the document as well. So let me show you the document here. You can document as well. So you, if you want to, let's say, so there is a role called object admin. In that object, grant full access on objects, including listing, creating, and viewing. So from there, you can refer what are the permission you needed, or else in this blog, the list of permission will be there. You can just identify what are the permission they needed instead of like this many permission providing to them, and also and also from this add permission, you can able to review all the list of permission and you can able to assign it. Once you've done it, you can create it. That's how that custom roles has been created in GCP. I hope everyone is cleared about what are the three kinds of roles presented in GCP: basic roles, predefined roles, and custom system. I hope this help you understand how where to use basic roles, where to use predefined roles, and which scenario you need to use custom roles. That's it from these slides. We can move to the next slides. Uh, I hope we discussed about the basic roles, predefined roles, and custom roles. And also, we have discussed about what is the principles and how the role bindings happen between with the principles by using the rules. And also, we have discussed how to what is the permission, how the permission will look like, and where we can refer all the permissions. So now, the important topic like Google Cloud Resource Hierarchy. Google Cloud Resource Hierarchy, like how the structure it will be followed in Google Cloud. So for that, we are going to refer a document from the Google. So this is the Google documentation. Here they have given some hierarchy level, but this is not every organization will follow. For learning purpose, we are going to see how the permission will flows from top to bottom. So let's say the first node, organization node example.com. So it is nothing but a domain name. So below that only you will create a folders or projects or any resources. So basically you can create project below the organization or below the folders or below the subfolders. But the resource will comes under only under the projects. That's how that uh, resource has been created in GCP. So for the easy way to understand, we can refer this. So organization is a top node hierarchy. So the top node hierarchy, nothing but it has when whatever the access you granted at top node, it will inherit all the access to the bottom. So let's say if you are giving that some access like service account, not service account, instance admin role, which we discussed earlier. So that access will be inherent to all the cell like folders, projects, everything. So we need to be more cautious when you're providing some access at the org level because it's going to be impact if something compromised going to impact all the projects below the organization. Folder is nothing but grouping of resource. So let's say there is a team like HR team, engineering team, sales team. So every company is having a different teams will be there, right? So in order to isolate each team separately, so we can create a folders here. So for easy way, we can say like human resource engineering service. So there are three different teams. For that, we have created three different folders. Inside the folders engineering, we have a three different projects. The three different projects like dev, prod, and test. So there are three different environment as well. Inside the project only as I said earlier, you can create a services or resources. So, but in when it's come to IAM access provisioning, we need to consider all the top to bottom as a resource only. So if you're granting access at org level, you're granting org level resource, project level resource, folder level resource, or you can grant service level or event resource level. So this is how the access will be granted. So let's take an example. So what will the precedence will happen? So let's say I given a instance admin at the top now, and for at the project we have given only list, I mean view permission. So we are not giving any admin permission in the project. So what will happen? Do you think the least permission will take precedence or how it is? It's not how it happens in GCP. So what are the permission which is granted at high level? Taking a, I mean, what is the I permission? You can say take it that takes a precedence. So let's say if you given a admin role and here you're not given admin role like viewer role for the particular principle, it takes admin roles only because that permission, high permission will be enabled. So that allow policy takes high permission as a precedence. That's how that resource hierarchy works, and this is how that company will structure their organization in a way that so they can easily enforce the policy. Like even if they want to enforce some policy, they can enforce it or not or the folder level or the project level. So based on their team and the requirement, they will understand, they will segregate, and they will assign the policies. And last but not least, high-end support for Google Cloud Service. It is nothing but so how that service know that whether this principal having permission to do this particular activity or not. So let's say every service will validate the IAM API call. So if I'm going to doing something like creating an instance in a particular project, that service compute service will validate whether I do have the permission first. So whether to create an instance. So once first I need to authenticate and that authorization will check. So basically authentication is the first thing and authorization is the second thing. So the authorization will validate by the IAM for each services, what are the action you are doing on a particular service. So that's how it will work. And I hope I have covered most of the topics here. So if you guys want have any more questions about this, please let me know in comment. We'll happy to discuss about it.